Srimati Tulsi Devi ki jai. Hare Krishna, good morning. Today we have the reading on Saturdays of the wonderful Chaitanya Charitamrita. Is going to be starting today with Madhya Lila, which is the second part, chapter 11. And the first verse is going to be verse 145. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna gracias Madre. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga Gaurari. Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Gaura Hari. Jaya Sachinandana, Gaura Hari. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Namo Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pravachakacharya Sitarasata, His Divine Grace, Sivakivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavarinda Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridasa Thakur Ki. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Ki. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru Angaranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Again, today is going to be the reading of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, second part, Madhya Lila, chapter 11, verse 145. And this chapter is called the Bara Kirtan Pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I was asked to read this morning. I haven't prepared absolutely anything, but there's nothing to be prepared because the text is the sum and substance of perfection. Down? Like this? Okay. So here is when Lord Chaitanya goes to Alalanath during the time when Lord Jagannath cannot be seen because he's been tended to because he's sick. Supposedly he's sick. And actually what they're doing, they are just repainting and refixing the images or the personality of Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. So now all these devotees are coming to Jagannath Puri from Bengal. And we also saw how the king goes to the top of the roof and Gopinath Acharya is telling him when he is seeing the devotees coming in down the path, who is every one of them. And the king is getting to know each one of these devotees of the Supreme Lord. So, so this is more or less what I was saying. So I'll begin with the chapter, verse 145. Srivasa hena kene kaha viparita kripa mulye charivai ayatumara krita. Srivas then replied to the Lord, why are you speaking in a contradictory way? Rather, we four brothers have been purchased by your mercy. Because Lord Chaitanya is talking to Srivas, super excellent devotee of the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord is talking about different issues that appear to be contradictory to his ears. Shankare dekiya Prabhu kaheda modare sagaurava prityamara tomara upare. After seeing Shankara, which is another devotee, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Damodar, my affection for you is on the platform of awe and reverence, because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considers him to be a senior. Here, purport. Here the Lord is addressing Damodar Pandit, who is different from Svarup Damodar. Damodar Pandit is the elder brother of Shankara. Thus the Lord informed Damodar that his affection toward him was on the platform of awe and reverence. However, the Lord's affection toward his younger brother Shankar was on the platform of pure love. Verse 147. Shuddha kevala prema Shankara upare ataeva tumara sange rakaha Shankare. Therefore, keep your younger brother Shankara with you, because he is connected to me by pure unalloyed love. Remember that unalloyed love is the super excellent, highest level of love. But if there is awe and reverence, like for a senior, then that kind of impedes the natural flow of its highest level of love to come up, to manifest. Verse 148. Damodara kahe shankara chota amahaite eve amara bhale bhai tomara kripate. Damodar Pandit replied, Shankar is my younger brother, but from today he becomes my elder brother because you have a special mercy upon him. So we see how Lord Chaitanya is having personal contact and personal exchanges with the different devotees that are coming. And we will see more and more how he deals with each one of them, how he treats all his devotees so lovingly. 149. Shivanande kahe Prabhu tumara amate gada anuraga haya jani age haite. Then turning towards Shivananda Sena, the Lord said, I know that from the very beginning your affection for me has been very great. It's another very exalted personality, Shivananda Sena. 150. Shuni Shivananda Sena Paramavishta Hanya Dandavad Hanya Pade Shloka Padiya. Immediately upon hearing this, Shivananda Sena became absorbed in ecstatic love and fell down on the ground, offering obeisances to the Lord. He then began to recite the following verse. As you can see, all these exchanges are loving exchanges, very sweet, very relishable. Verse 151. Nimajatunanta bhavarnavantas chiraya mekulam ivasilabdaha tvayapi labdham bhagavan idanim anuttamam patram idam dayayaha. Translation, O my Lord, O Unlimited One, although I was merged in the ocean of nations. You know what nations means, everybody? It means ignorance. Whenever Prabhupada uses the word nations, mean absence of science, absence of knowledge. So whenever you hear the word nations, that means ignorance. Although I was merged in the ocean of nations, I have now, after a long time, attained you, just as one attains the seashore. My dear Lord, by getting me, you have obtained the right person upon whom to bestow your causeless mercy. Because everything that's happening to all the devotees, that includes us, is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. He's so pleased that we are taking to his service. And he takes care of each one of us like a loving mother. And purport. This is verse 21 of the Stotra Ratna composed by Alabandaru Yamunacharya. One's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead may be re-established even after one has fallen into the ocean of nations, which is the ocean of material existence, involving the repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease, all arising out of the acceptance of the material body. The acceptance of the material body as the self, that's what it is. We think we are the body, and so in this way, we fall over and over again into this ocean of ignorance. There are 8,400,000 species of material life, but in the human body, one attains a chance to get release from the repetition of birth and death. This is our opportunity. When one becomes the Lord's devotee, he's rescued from this dangerous ocean of birth and death. The Lord is always prepared to shower his mercy upon fallen souls struggling against miserable material conditions. As Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, this is chapter 15, verse number 7, Mavaivansho jiva loke jiva bhutta sanatanaha mama shasthanindriyani prakritisthani karashati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. That's the translation of this verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Continue with the purport. Thus, every living being is struggling hard in this material nature. Actually, the living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And when he surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he attains release from the ocean of birth and death. The Lord, being very kind to fallen souls, is always anxious to get the living entity out of the ocean of nations. If the living entity understands his position and surrenders to the Lord, his life becomes successful. So the first line here, this last paragraph, thus every living being is struggling hard in this material nature. Is anybody in this room who's never had any problems in this life? Please raise your hand. Verse number 152. Pratame Murari Gupta Prabhure Namiliya Bahirete Padeache Dandavadhanya. Murari Gupta at first did not meet the Lord, but rather remained outside the door, falling down like a stick to offer obeisances. This is another super exalted personality, Murari Gupta. He was a physician. Verse 153. Murari Nadakiya Prabhu Kare Amveshana Murare Laite Danya Aila Bahujana. When Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not see Murari amongst the devotees, he inquired about him. Thereupon many people immediately went to Murari, running to take him to the Lord. So Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is missing him. He sees everybody, but where's Murari Gupta? Such a super exalted personality, whom I love so dearly. Verse 154. Trinadhui Gucha Murari Dashana Dhariya Mahaprabhu Age Gela Danya Dhina Hanya. Thus Murari Gupta, catching 2 bunches of straw in his teeth, went before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with humility and meekness. What is this thing about catching 2 bunches of straw in his teeth? What is this supposed to mean? Why? Taking straw and putting it in your mouth. Why? Nobody knows? It's a sign of being humble, of humility. Verse 155. Murari dekhiya Prabhu aila milite, pache pake Murari, lagila kahite. Upon seeing Murari come to meet him, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went up to him, but Murari began to run away and speak as follows. 156. Morina chuniha Prabhu munyita pamara, tomara sparsha yoga nahe papa kalivara. My Lord, please do not touch me. I'm most abominable, and I am not fit for you to touch because my body is sinful. So he was so humble. Don't touch me. I'm very sinful. 157. Prabhu kahe murari kara danya samvarana, tomara danya dekhi mora vidirna hayamana. The Lord said, my dear Murari, please restrain your unnecessary humility. My mind is disturbed when I see your meekness. 158. Ittabali Prabhutanre Kaila Alingana Nikate Vashanya Kare Anga Samarjana. Saying this, the Lord embraced Murari and had him sit down by his side. The Lord then began to cleanse his body with his own hands. Verses 159 and 160. Acharyarna Vidyanide Pandita Gadadara Gangadasa Haribhatta Acharya Purandara Pratyake Sabara Prabhu Kariguna Gana Purna Purna Alingiya Karila Samana. This is the number of devotees that he's welcoming. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then again and again embraced all the devotees, including Acharya Ratna, Vidyanidhi, Pandit Gadadhar, Gangadas, Haribhatta, and Acharya Purandara. The Lord described their good qualities and glorified them again and again. So what is Lord Chaitanya doing? He's going to them, he's embracing each one of them, he is describing their good qualities, and he glorifies them again and again. Would you like to be welcomed like that by Lord Chaitanya? 161. Sabari samani prabhura haila ulasa haridase nadakiya kahe Gahan Haridasa. After that, offering respect to each and every devotee, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very jubilant. However, not seeing Haridas Thakur, he inquired, "Where is Haridas?" Do you remember about Haridas Thakur? He is the Namacharya of the holy name because he was constantly chanting. So if we want to learn how to chant properly, we have to pray to Srila Haridas Thakur. The problem is that Haridas Thakur was not born in a Hindu family. He was born in a Mohammedan family. And so he's always very, very discreet, not to impinge upon everybody else or just to restrain himself from contaminating the other devotees. And he's so dear to the Supreme Lord. Verse 162. Durahaite Haridasa Gosanye Dekiya Rajapatta Prante Padiyachi Dandavahanya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then saw in the distance that Haridas Thakur was lying down flat on the road, offering obeisances. 163. Milanastane asi prabhurena milila Rajapatta prante dure padiya rahila. Haridas Thakur did not come to the Lord's meeting place, but remained falling flat on the common road at a distance. 164. Bhakta savadanya aila haridasanite prabhuto maya milite chahe chalahat parite. All the devotees then went to Haridas Thakur saying, "The Lord wants to meet you. Please come immediately." 165. Haridas kahe muni nicha jatichara mandira nikate jaite moranahi adhikara. Haridas Thakur replied, "I cannot go near the temple because I am a low caste, abominable person. I have no authority to go there." Teresa, can you get me some water? Purport. Although Haridas Thakur was such a highly elevated Vaishnava that he was addressed as Haridas Goswami, he still did not like to disturb the common sense of the general populace. Haridas Thakur was so exalted that he was addressed as Thakur and Goswami, and these titles are offered to the most advanced Vaishnavas. The spiritual master is generally called Goswami, and Thakur is used to address the Paramahamsas, those in the topmost rank of spirituality. Hamsa means swan, and Paramahamsa means supremely elevated personality that is as beautiful and pure as a swan, Paramahamsa. Nonetheless, Haridas Thakur did not want to go near the temple, although he was called there by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Now, if we go to Jagannath Puri ourselves, except for Omkara Prabhu, we will not be allowed to enter the temple. We won't. There are certain temples in India where Westerners are low caste and they are not allowed into the temple. Never mind what the authorities in the temple do for entertainment. Never mind that. Okay. Other castes, okay. Jagannath Temple still accepts only those Hindus who are in the Varnashram order. Other castes, especially those who are not Hindu, are not allowed to enter the temple. This is a long-standing regulation, and thus Haridas Thakur, although certainly competent and qualified to enter the temple, did not want even to go near it. This is called Vaishnava humility. My husband says that it is because of the influence of the Britishers when they were dominating India, that they were teaming up with the Brahmanas. And in this way, they were trying to get only the Brahminical caste into the temples. And so because Westerners were not born into Brahminical families, that's why still nowadays we cannot enter into some temples. It's interesting because some years ago, my husband and I were in South India. And that was, what's the name of the place? With Carlos? With my nephew. And we had Vaishnava robes, like long skirts and kurtas and stuff like that, and tilak. And my nephew was coming with us. We were taking him around. And because he was not showing any signs of being a Vaishnava, he was not allowed to go into the inner sanctum, the innermost part of the temple, whereas my husband and I were allowed to do that. So he had to wait outside in the courtyard. He didn't have tilak. He didn't have tilak, he didn't have a kurta, so he wasn't allowed to go in. So this is going on today after all these hundreds of years, 200, 250 years. Verse 166. 66, is that correct? Nibriti tottamadhyastana yadipana tahan padi rahoekale kalagonana. Haridas Thakur then expressed his desire. If I could just get a solitary place near the temple, I could stay there alone and pass my time. He's very, very respectful of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not only he's a great devotee of him, but also he realizes what the rules and regulations of society are, and he doesn't want to create a problem for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by getting really close to him being a Mohammedan. Of course, he's much more exalted than so many personalities, because it's not a matter of race, it's not a matter of birth, it's a matter of consciousness. And he was super exalted personality. Verse number 167. Jagannatha seva kera mora sparshanahi haya Dahampadi rahon mora evanchahaya. I do not wish the servants of Lord Jagannath to touch me. I would remain there in the garden alone. That is my desire. He doesn't want anybody to touch him because he's untouchable. Being a Muslim. So he says, 169. Henakale Kashmishra Padicha Doijana Asiya Karila Prabhura Charana Vandana. At this time, Kashi Mishra, which is another very important personality and senior to Lord Chaitanya in age, along with the superintendent of the temple, came and offered his respects unto the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 170. Sarva Vaishnavadeki Sukha Bada Paila Yata Yogya Savasane Anande Milila. Upon seeing all the Vaishnavas together, Kashi Mishra and the superintendent became very happy. With great happiness, they met with the devotees in a befitting manner. We're talking about these devotees that came from Bengal to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the festival of Jagannath. 171. Prabhupada Duijane Kaila Nivedane Akya Deha Vaishnavera Karisamadane. Both submitted to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is Kashi Mishra, the superintendent of the temple of Lord Jagannath. Please give us orders so that we may make proper arrangements to accommodate all the Vaishnavas. 172. Sabara Kariyache Vasa Grihastana Mahaprasada Sabakare Karisamadhana. Accommodations have been arranged for all the Vaishnavas. Now let us distribute Mahaprasadam to all of them. And behind all of this, providing the accommodations for the Vaishnavas, was the king. The king, King Patraparudra, make sure that everybody was being taken care of, not just the superintendent of the temple, but all great personalities in Jagannath Puri were very concerned that everybody that came for the festival would be very well attended to, very well taken care of, very well fed. So we know that Mahaprasadam, if you go to Jagannath Puri, one of the most important element of Jagannath Puri is the Mahaprasadam. So if we have Mahaprasadam in Jagannath Puri, even though we may not be able to go, we are not able to go inside the temple, is one very powerful weapon for purification. And then we know that in Mayapur is the holy name. And in Vrindavan, the element that is the most purifying is the dust of Vrindavan. So when we go to Vrindavan, we take the dust from the earth, because that earth has been touched by the lotus feet of Lord, Sri Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and all the devotees. Specks of grace are there in the dust of Vrindavan. But in Jagannath Puri is the prasadam, which is, by the way, delicious. 173. Prabhu kahe gopinata yatta vaishnavalanya yahan yahan kahe vasa tahan dehalanya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately told Gopinathacharya, please go with the Vaishnavas and accommodate them in whatever residences Kashi Mishra and the temple superintendent offer. So now Maharaj, Krishna Maharaj is going to India with some devotees. So all of you who've come recently into Krishna consciousness, even though you probably were devotees before in previous lives, make a point. Maybe next year you can all go with him. It's an extraordinary opportunity. We would like to go with him too. Verse 174. Mahaprasadana deha vaninatastane sarva vaishnavera inho karive samadhane. Then the Lord told Kashi Mishra and the temple superintendent, as for the remnants of food left by Jagannath, let them be delivered to Vaninath Roy's charge, for he can take care of all the Vaishnavas and distribute Mahaprasadam to them. 175. In this society, there is no scarcity of prasadam, and we are all being fed very nicely. I think that everybody agrees to that, right? Verse 175. Amara nikate e pushpera udyane ekakane gara ache paramanirjane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, nearby my place in this garden of flowers is a single room that is very solitary. Why is he saying that? So he's thinking about finding a place for Haridas Thakur, right? So he says near the garden there is a place that is a solitary room that one can be comfortable and do bhajan. Bhajan means practices of devotion, hearing, chanting, and discussing scripture and doing service, other services, bodily services. Verse 176. Say, Garama kedeha ache prayojana nibrite vasiyatahan karivasmarana. Please give that room to me, for I have a need for it. Indeed, I shall remember the lotus feet of the Lord sitting in that solitary place. So he's asking for the superintendent to give that room for him because he wants to give it to Haridas Thakur. Purport. This statement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is significant. Nibriti vasiyatahan kariva smarana. I shall sit down there in that solitary place and remember the lotus feet of the Lord. Neophyte students are not to imitate sitting in a solitary place and remembering the lotus feet of the Lord by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We should always remember that it was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself who wanted such a place either for himself or for Haridas Thakur. No one can suddenly attain the level of Haridas Thakur and sit down in a solitary place to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and remember the lotus feet of the Lord. Only an exalted person like Haridas Thakur or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is personally exhibiting the proper behavior for an acharya, can engage in such a practice. What does that the word acharya mean, by the way? Because you're hearing acharya. Who's acharya? It's a teacher who teaches by his words and by his personal example. So whenever you hear the word acharya, you know it's a teacher, a very exalted personality, who is teaching by his instructions, and he is following the instructions himself and giving us the perfect example. At the present moment, we see that some of the members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness are tending to leave their preaching activities in order to sit in a solitary place. This is not a very good sign. It is a fact that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, which is the Srila Prabhupada's guru, has condemned this process for neophytes. He has even stated in a song, Pratishtara Tare Nirjanera Gare Tava Harinama Kevala Kaitava. Translation: sitting in a solitary place, intending to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantras considered a cheating process. If the person is not qualified to do that, spend hours chanting. It's better that the person chant at home, no problem, and engage in different activities, because we get restless and then our mind goes in a different direction. This practice is not possible for neophytes at all. The neophyte devotee must act and work very laboriously under the direction of the spiritual master, and he must thus preach the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Only after maturing in devotion can he sit down in a solitary place to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself did. There is an example in our society of somebody who was diagnosed with cancer. So he came to Srila Prabhupada, devotee, and said, Srila Prabhupada, I'm going to die and I really need to go in a solitary place and chant the Mahamantra. Prabhupada didn't want to give this person Babaji, it's called Babaji, initiation, but he kept insisting and insisting. So Prabhupada relented and gave him initiation. Well, then this young man, who was supposedly sick with cancer, was discovered that he did not have cancer. He found out he had no cancer, and he just split and gave up everything. So it is not recommended that a person who is just a neophyte do this kind of practice yet, not until the purification process really enables this person to sit quietly and focus exclusively on chanting the holy name, which is not what happens for some of us. For me, definitely not. Okay? Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to teach us a lesson, he traveled all over India continuously for 6 years, and only then retired at Jagannath Puri. Even at Jagannath Puri, the Lord chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in great meetings at the Jagannath temple. The point is that one should not try to imitate Haridas Thakur at the beginning of one's transcendental life. One must first become very mature in devotion and thus receive the approval of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we are in the right place because for the process of purification, we find no better solution, no better place, and no better method than being here and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra doing service. The process of purification is so powerful and so intense. If we look back in our lives to some years back, maybe some months back, or even some weeks back, we realize that, something is happening to our consciousness. We are becoming purified by the grace of the Supreme Lord and our desire to serve. Only at such a time may one actually sit down peacefully in a solitary place to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and remember the lotus feet of the Lord. The senses are very strong, and if a neophyte devotee imitates Haridas Thakur, his enemies, which are Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya, which is lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion, will disturb. Actually, envy is the one that has in itself comprises all the other ones. So if there is a problem with envy, that means all the other enemies of our consciousness are present there too. If somebody imitates Haridas Thakur, his enemies will disturb and fatigue him. Instead of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the neophyte will simply sleep soundly. Well, we want to give our body enough rest, that's for sure. We should not torture the body, because this process of bhakti is not about torturing anything. It's about developing great taste for the pastimes of the Supreme Lord and awakening our loving propensity. So it's very sweet. Our process is so sweet. Preaching work is meant for advanced devotees, and when an advanced devotee is further elevated to the on the devotional scale, he may retire to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in a solitary place. However, if one simply imitates advanced spiritual life, he will fall down just like the Sahajas in Vrindavan. And just like that example I gave about this young devotee who begged of Prabhupada to give him Babaji, who found out he was not sick. and completely give up everything. So because he was a very neophyte person. Verse 177. Mishra kahe saba tumhara chaha hi karane, apana ichhaya laha ye tumhara mane. Kashi Mishra then told Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everything belongs to you. What is the use of your begging? Why would you beg for a room? Why would you beg? Everything is yours. By your own will, you can take whatever you like. Kashi Mishra was fully aware of the nature of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 178. Ami dui hai tumhara dasa agyakari, ye chaha se yagya deha kripakari. My Lord, we are your two servants, and we're here just to carry out your orders. By your mercy, please tell us to do whatever you want. That is Kashi Mishra and the superintendent of the Jagannath temple he's referring to. 179. Etta kahe dui jane vidyala ila gopinatta vaninatta dunhe sange nila. Saying this, Kashi Mishra and the temple inspector took their leave, and Gopinath and Vaninath went with them. So I know we have a few minutes, and I could read some more, but I think it's better if you would like to ask a question, or you would like to share a realization, or talk about something of importance to you. What? Okay, so I'm going to give everybody a chance to say something, if you would like to. Ask a question. Yes. Yeah, he's going to India next week, I think. Is it? Yeah, Wednesday. No, Thursday next week. Oh my God, yes, yes. So just, I'm not sure what his schedule will be next year, but he goes to India several times, and he likes to go specifically to the Vrindavan area and Govardhan, which is part of the Vrindavan area. And so everybody who would like to join him, all you have to do is find out what the schedule is, and ask him if you would like to, that you would like to go, and I'm sure he'll say yes. Just come with me. It's a great opportunity. So start saving your pennies so you can go to India. Any other questions or comments? Chaitanya Dasi? Yeah, you can get the prasadam from the temple. Actually, the prasadam, it's being cooked how many times? 45 times a day? 56 times. They cook 56 times a day. So there's plenty of prasadam. So the prasadam is not just for those who will go to the temple. It's for the whole town. If they want, they can get prasadam from Jagannath Puri. It's a huge kitchen, like a whole block long, my husband says. So they cook for Lord Chaitanya. And the idea is that his fingers will never dry, because he's always, of course, eating with the fingers, right? So that he's always enjoying the preparations that they make, and they'll never be clean or dry. And that's the idea. That's why they cook 56 times a day. And everybody can go and get prasadam from the temple. They can be Muslims, they could be Christians, they could be dogs and cats. Anybody can eat. And like I said before, the prasadam of Jagannath Puri is extremely powerful method of purification. Like the Das in Vrindavan and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra Sankirtan programs in Mayapur and Navadvip. Thank you for the question. It's a very good question. So when you go to Jagannath Puri, you're going to be fed the whole day. No problem. Morning, midday, noon, mid-afternoon, evening. There's no scarcity of prasadam. There's no scarcity of prasadam here in the temple either. Anybody else would like to say anything? Or ask a question? Is everything clear? Everything that I read, did it make sense to you? No? Shall I read it again? Okay, so we'll finish with a little bit of kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Nitai Gora, Hare Bol, Nitai Gora, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Nitai Gora, Hare Bol. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. 179. 179. The first verse to read next time. 80, 180, sorry. 180. I never thought I would have this opportunity to read to stage like that. I've been wanting to read it on Saturday for years. I never thought I had the opportunity, except that at the last second this morning, I said, there's nobody to read it. Okay, this is my chance. Oh, well, I'm so glad you did it.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindanalayatasham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Asa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nivesesha Sanyavadi Paschachade Satarine Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhaktarinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhaktarinda Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhaktarinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhaktarinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhaktarinda Jaya Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Harimo, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bo Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Bhagavata Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Siddhi Gaura Iskan founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Goloka Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Navadvip Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jamuna Ganga Mahi Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakta Devi Ki Shri Shri Radha Golokananda Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Gaura Premanandi All glories to the assembled all glories to the assembled all glories to the assembled all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratimanam Purnamrita Swaharanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dordaivam Idrishamiha Janina Nuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadishakamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahoita Ki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabada Bhakanchaja Stita Duli Sajashim Vachintaya Nayanam Galadashu Daraya Varanam Gadgadavurdaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanamagrahaneva Vishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Aslishyava Padaratam Panastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatatava Vidadatu Lampato Mat Prananatastu Saeva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditioned life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are all